Hi there, once again, thank you for joining us today. Last week we talked about peace, how we're called to be peacemakers. Jesus came to bring us at peace with God, and excluded no one in that exercise. I remember hearing of an old minister who tells of a visit he made to the city of Damascus, and he had gone to a famous marketplace on the street called Straight, famous street. The marketplace was busy, crowded, teeming with merchants and shoppers and tourists. And into that bustling place came a man riding slowly through the crowd on a bicycle, and he was precariously balancing a basket of oranges on his handlebars. And he bumped accidentally into a porter who was bent over carrying a heavy burden. And the burden dropped, and all the oranges and everything else was scattered, and a bitter war of words broke out between these two guys, between the cyclist and the porter. Angry words, threats, hostilities. A crowd gathered to watch, and the angry cyclist moved towards the porter with his fist upraised. But just then, there was a shabby wee man. He stepped out of the crowd and stood between the two adversaries. And he did an amazing thing. He reached out, he took the clenched fist of the cyclist in his hand, and he kissed it. And a murmur of approval swept over the crowd, and they laughed, and then they applauded. And the two antagonists relaxed, they smiled, they shook hands, and then everybody began to pick up the oranges. Now, when the wee man began to drift away, the old minister followed and spoke to him. And he said, what a beautiful thing you did there. That was wonderful. Why did you do it? The man smiled and said, not knowing who the minister was or anything about him, he said, well, I'm a Christian. And Jesus gave me courage to be a peacemaker. Jesus gave me courage to do the right thing. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who break down barriers that separate people. Blessed are those who seek to end injustice and oppression. Blessed are those who lay down their lives to bring peace with God. I believe God encourages us all to be peacemakers. That's one of our missions. 50 years ago, there were 10 Church of Scotland congregations in this valley where I now live. Now there are 3. And it's easy to get depressed, but I see flickering lights of hope. And I know that so many people find within the church people that will share their joys and their fears. Sometimes a fellowship develops between those who have gone through the same troubles and have found strength and found grace to go on. At times I find it strange that Jesus entrusted his mission to ordinary people like us, and that hasn't changed. The gospel is simple, love one another. It sounds good. But he also asks us to be peacemakers. What a big task in this world. I don't suppose you and I can bring peace to the world, but maybe we can try to make it where we live, where we work. Let's try and do it. God bless you as you try. And thanks again for listening to me today.